All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. If folks want to, feel free to stand too, I should say that. I know that sitting can wear us down a little bit. So we want to welcome you all to this next session. It's a session where my colleagues will talk with you about how we all work to support your students outside of the classroom. And we like to introduce this conversation by introducing you to our convictions. Before we do that, I want to introduce you to my colleagues. Again, my name is Linda Bachman, Dean of Students here at St. Thomas.
Good morning, Father Larry Blake, Director of Campus Ministry.
My name is Marlon Blake, and I serve as one of the Assistant Dean of Students.
Hello, I'm Dan Mavison. I'm the Director of Public Safety here at St. Thomas.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, so again, your students, a lot of their development these next 4 years will, of course, happen in the classroom, but we also know that a great deal of development will happen outside of the classroom. So that's what you'll hear us talking about this afternoon. And to frame our conversation today, I like to start by introducing you to our convictions. A lot of people are more familiar with our mission statement at St. Thomas, but these convictions also frame our mission and the way we approach our work with your students. So the 7 convictions are academic excellence, dignity, diversity, faith and reason, gratitude, personal attention, and the pursuit of truth. So I think you will hear these coming through in the way you hear us talk about our work. So with that, I am going to start with a video. I don't know who has the clicker. Our Associate Vice President for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is Ka Yang, and Ka could not be here in person today, so she created a video, and we'll just kind of start this by hearing from Ka's and her talk about how we approach our conviction around diversity at St. Thomas. So Ka Yang.
Welcome, students, families, and friends. I'm Ka Yang, Associate Vice President for Inclusive Excellence. I am so excited your family made the decision to attend the University of St. Thomas. You are joining a university community committed to creating an inclusive and welcoming campus. Our campus is enriched by the diversity of the undergraduate and graduate students who learn and live here. Our students represent 92 countries and 41 states. We welcome students from a wide range of cultures, religions, socioeconomic backgrounds, abilities, and students who are part of the LGBTQIA community. Our campus is enriched by the diversity of our students, faculty, and staff. I hope that you will encourage your students to stretch outside of their comfort zone to get to know students from backgrounds different than their own. Our diversity provides opportunities for our students to discover commonalities, experience differences, and learn from each other in the journey toward graduation and into the ever-diverse 21st century workforce. Our mission as a Catholic institution calls upon us to advance the common good and to uphold our convictions of diversity and human dignity. The Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion that I oversee is charged with institutional leadership in diversity, equity, and inclusion at St. Thomas. We listen, engage, and partner with university offices to meet individuals where they are so that all students can feel supported to strive for their highest potential. Offices like Student Diversity and Inclusion Services are deeply committed to student inclusion and success. The Center for Faculty Development is committed to supporting faculty in creating inclusive classrooms. And initiatives like the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Student Ambassador Program, the DE&I Faculty Fellows Program, and the Staff Faculty DE&I Ambassador Program are examples of our commitment to creating a positive and holistic experience for all of our students. Creating a culture of inclusion takes all of us. Together, we seek to create a culture of inclusion and belonging for all who live, learn, and work in our community. Thank you for being part of the diverse fabric at St. Thomas. Welcome to the Tommy community.
Great. All right. So that again was Ka Yang. And next up, we have Father Blake, our Director of Campus Ministry and one of our chaplains at St. Thomas.
Thank you, Linda. Well, first of all, let me say thank you to all of you and to express my gratitude for the part that you play in helping your student, your son or daughter, make that very important decision about how they're going to continue their education. And I know it's a lot of work. As a family, a lot of effort goes into that. So thank you for the part that you played in seeing that your son and daughter is here at the University of St. Thomas. There are three words that I think of when I think about campus ministry. The first one is connect. And we work hard as a staff to connect your young person with other students. And we do this through several means. We do it through a series of small group meetings that we offer in the fall, in September. After they get to campus, we give them an opportunity to go on a retreat. That's open to all first-year students. And we take them off campus for the weekend, and there again, they're able to establish some new friendships in that retreat process. I also want to say that in terms of personal attention, each and every young person who walks through the doors of campus ministry or encounters one of us out on campus is going to receive that undivided attention that they deserve. We're very respectful of the many differences that are differences in faith traditions represented here on campus, and we treat everybody with dignity and respect. The second word that comes to mind when I think about our campus ministry program is encounter. That through their involvement with the programs that we offer, they're going to encounter people who hold different values than they do, people who come from different faith traditions than they do, and all of that is good, and we promote that. It's not uncommon to see a Catholic student sitting with a Muslim student, as happened recently, and they talked about what is reconciliation. What does that mean to you? Or for a Jewish rabbi to sit with a Protestant pastor in our office and with a Muslim chaplain in our office and talk about fasting and how each of those traditions observes a time of fast during the year. So all of that is part of what we attempt to offer in terms of diversity and inclusion within campus ministry. And then the last word that comes to mind is live. We work hard to help your young person develop those core values that are so essential as they move from here after the completion of their studies and out into the world. Those core values that will help them be compassionate people, help them to be people who want to seek justice for others, and perhaps most importantly, that they know of the love of God in their lives and the love of God for others. So I'm looking forward to meeting your son or your daughter through the Office of Campus Ministry. You can stop by at our information table, which is downstairs on the second floor. Thank you.
My name, again, is Marlon Blake, and I serve as one of the Assistant Dean of Students. And in particular, I have two main functions in my job. And one of those is that I chair our care team on campus, which is a group of different administrators from several different offices. And we meet each week to discuss students of concern who are having challenges at our campus. Those things can be housing, food insecurity, academic challenges, concerns with connecting with others, and some mental health concerns. And so we meet each week to talk about ways to support those students. And so my job at the end of the day is to make sure that those students feel supported and have a person on campus that they can come to around some of those questions or concerns about their success. Now, the other part of my job is that I serve as a parent and family liaison in our office. And so moving forward, you'll get a lot of, maybe not a lot, but you will receive a monthly email from me, our family newsletter. You'll get that email from me. And it gives you different tips, strategies, important dates, or things you can talk with your student about throughout their time. So it's a great way for you to be able to provide them with guidance throughout the process. And again, my job is to make sure you also feel supported on this journey as well. So you can always call me around some questions or concerns you may have with that. But before you call me, one of the first things you should do is always talk to your student. We're really committed to student development and success. So when we think about the idea of one of our values about academic excellence, we are just much invested in their success and them walking across the stage as all of you in this room as well. And so we're committed to supporting those students. And so the first thing when we think about like our university mission and convictions, that is what our work is grounded in. And this idea of personal attention and not having these kind of cookie cutter approaches. We understand that all students come to our campus with different lived experiences. And so therefore, it's important for us to treat them in ways in which they want to be treated and supported in ways in which they want to be supported or need to be supported. And so for each of the students who come to our office, we're really committed to supporting them one-on-one in ways in which they want to be supported. And with that, I think sometimes that may mean having a one-to-one meeting or just guiding them to a different office, or you calling me and we can talk through how to better support your student. And so that support looks very different depending on what the situation is. The other thing I want to talk about in this idea of our success and commitment to your student is that we also prioritize their personal information as well. And so the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also known as FERPA, also it limits us in what we can share with you about how your student is doing. So we're going to go back to the first thing I said, is that you should always talk to your student. So if you're wondering if they're going to class, you should pick up the phone and call your student and say, how are classes going? So if you call me and you say, well, how's my student doing? I'm going to be limited in what I can share with you because of FERPA. And then I'm going to encourage you, have you talked to your student yet? So I'm going to encourage you to go back and talk to your student. So a lot of you have probably been finding out recently that your student holds a lot of the information that you need to know. Some of you probably found out like, oh, we got to go to orientation on Tuesday. You're like, oh, okay, great. Sounds good. I'll be there, right? So your student is going to have mostly all of the information you want to know. So I want to encourage you over the next couple weeks is to set up conversations with your student about how you would like to receive information. I guarantee you, I'm going to get a call from one person who says, well, I paid the tuition and I need to know. And I'm going to say, I thank you for paying the tuition, but you should go back and talk to your student. So if you want to know how their classes are going, if you want to know how their grades are looking at midterms or at the end of the semester, I want to encourage you to set up conversations with them about how you would like to receive that information. So that could be a weekly check-in that you do with them to talk to them about their classes. It can be every other week. It can be once a month. It can be once a semester. But I think it's important that you set up some form of expectation about how you would like to receive information from them. And our Parent and Family Handbook is a great resource for that to help you to understand how to ask questions. There are prompts about relationships, alcohol, connecting on campus, etc. So I would encourage you, if you want information that's important to you, you should always talk to your student first, because more than likely they already know the answer to what you want to know. And oftentimes it's about how you ask them that information. They no longer live under your roof, so the power thing does not work anymore. because they are here. So therefore, if you want that information, you're going to have to ask for it in a certain way in order to receive that information. So let's say you're working with your student around their classes, and you're talking to them, you're using the prompts in the handbook, and it's just not working out. At that standpoint, call me. Let's talk about ways in which we can support your student. Maybe it's you directing them to come talk to me. Maybe we can all meet together and chat about how we can better support them. We can come up with whatever ways we need to be supported, but I always want to encourage you, talk to your student first, because they probably know all the information you want to know. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me today. So next, Linda come and tell you a little bit more about our office.
Thanks, Marlon. And I do want to point out the family handbook that Marlon was referencing. If you go to the Dean of Students webpage and go to our family section, the family handbook is online in that section, and it's in 4 different languages. It's in English, Spanish, Somali, and Hmong. And we've had a lot of families tell us what a helpful resource that's been. We encourage folks to read it now, go through it now, and use some of those prompts this summer to talk to your students as they prepare to come to St. Thomas. So with that, I will start off by just letting y'all know when we meet with students and talk about the Dean of Students office, I always ask students, what's the first thing you think of when you think of a Dean of Students office? And without fail, they say, well, that's where you go if you get in trouble. And we work hard to dispel that stereotype of the Dean of Students office. By far, the bulk of the work that happens in our office is the work Marlon was referring to, and that's that helping students navigate college. So that's a lot of what we do in our office. We love our work. We welcome students at any point in their time at St. Thomas. Another piece of what we do, and it's an important piece, is hold students. We set expectations. We set expectations for what it means to join our community and to live and to learn here. And the way those expectations appear in writing is through our student code of conduct and through our convictions. So the code of conduct, if you look it up online, you'll see there's approximately 27 violations that a student could achieve if they tried to set out and do that. I always boil it down to, and it won't be a surprise to any of you, the code of conduct boiled down says we expect you to be good to other people, we expect you to be good to yourself, and we follow state law on our campus. So those 3 areas really are the code of conduct. If a student, I will say this too, we know college is a time of growth and change, and we know as students are trying to achieve independence, figure out their identities, sometimes we stumble. And so if a student does violate one of our code of conduct, we hold them accountable. So hopefully that's not a surprise to anyone either. Part of having a campus where we work to have everyone feel respected and welcomed means holding people accountable if they do something that prevents, that harms that community feeling on our campus. So our conduct philosophy is one primarily of education and development. If a student does need to meet with one of us, if they live in a res hall, they typically would meet with their community director for a conduct meeting. If it's an off-campus student, they typically would meet with Dean Jesse Langer, Assistant Dean Jesse Langer in our office. But so I will just share with you that in a synopsis of what that meeting is, we present to the student the documentation we received about the incident. The student has a chance to respond to that, share their side of how things happened. And ultimately, a student is either found responsible or not responsible. And if they're found responsible, then we have a sanctioning process that we use, and that sanction process, again, is really primarily one of education. So there might be an online alcohol course that a student needs to take if they've had a couple alcohol violations on campus. That's just one example. We also try to use restorative justice when appropriate in our student conduct situations. Sometimes it makes a lot of sense to bring a group of students together to talk about what happened and how they were each impacted, and for that group of students to talk about how they can move forward to work to repair any harm that might have occurred. So that's another piece we incorporate into our student conduct process. Probably important for you all to know is that if your student does have a meeting with one of us for conduct reasons, that's, again, because of FERPA, that's part of their record here. That's not something that you will know about. Your student might choose to tell you about it, but we're not going to call you and let you know that. The exception is that there is by law, if we put a student on conduct probation, and it's related to an alcohol violation or a drug violation, then we do make sure parents are aware of that. So that's the one time that you would become aware. Sometimes we also, depending on what's going on with the student, it might be that we say as a sanction, we think your family, your parents need to know. We're asking you to contact them and let them know. And then the parent lets us know, my son or daughter told me what happened. So we make sure you're on the loop. And that, again, is very individual, depending on a holistic view of a student's situation. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would be helpful for you to know related to that. When I bring up conduct probation, most students, that's not something that happens for most students, so I don't want anyone sitting there in fear that their student might end up on probation. It's very rare. I will share transparently, depending on the nature of an incident. As much as we work towards that educational philosophy, if there has been significant harm to our community, or a student has displayed behaviors where we don't think they are a healthy part of our community, there's times where we also might ask a student to take a pause from St. Thomas. Again, not something that happens very often at all, but just kind of letting you know the full scope of our conduct sanctions on campus. Also want to make sure you know that along with the student conduct policy, we have a sexual misconduct policy, probably not a surprise to any of you. That is also online. If you ever want to take a look at it, it includes the process that we adhere to if we receive a report of a student being harmed through sexual violence. And if that were to occur, we encourage all students to report that to us. The report goes to our Title IX coordinator, Danielle Hermany, and Danielle reaches out to that student and first offers support and resources. That's her first concern, is support and resources for a student who may have been harmed. And then she will work with that student to initiate next steps, which typically would involve an investigation. There's a lot of different ways the process can unfold. I'm certainly not going to go into all of that today, but there's an alternative resolution process, there's an investigative, more formal process, and the student who has been a victim, we work to really make sure they have a voice in that. And the other reporting system on campus is our bias reporting system, and we encourage all community members, faculty, staff, and students, if they were to witness or experience a bias incident, we encourage them to report through our bias reporting line or in person to the Dean of Students' office or Public Safety. We take those reports very seriously. Again, our first response is reaching out to the person impacted, offering support and resources, and then depending on the scope of the information we have, an investigation at some level would typically occur, and then based on the outcome of that investigation, appropriate appropriate measures occur. We work hard to be a campus. We want to be a campus where people don't experience bias incidents or sexual violence. So part of that is all of us adhering to these convictions and the culture that we want to be at St. Thomas. And all that being said, sometimes incidents still occur. And so when they do, we take them very seriously, and we work to support students and try to repair and heal when possible. So that's a little bit about those reporting systems. I always say I get the heavy slide in this presentation, but I think as parents and family members, it's important that you're aware of these aspects of campus and how we work with your students. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Dan Mavison, and I want to let you know we will have time for some questions too.
Thanks, Linda. Good afternoon, everybody. I always get excited for orientations. I know it's weird, but I'm very excited about campus safety. We take it very serious on this campus, and this is my opportunity, to welcome you all to the St. Thomas community. I do that knowing that I'd be naive if I thought we were the only ones responsible for making this campus safe. It's not. It's everybody's got to work together. So now, you being part of the community itself, I can look at each and every one of you and go, hey, if you hear something, you see something, you know something that doesn't seem right, now I'm inviting you to contact me. Because if you don't think it's right, I'm probably not going to think it's right, and we'll look at it together, right? So welcome, and you're all part of the puzzle now in making this campus safe for all of us. I will tell you that I have a very professional and experienced team. My management team has well over 100 years of experience in law enforcement and campus law enforcement. We train, we teach, and we work really hard with other agencies on our response protocols. So we're open 24 hours a day, 300, excuse me, my allergies is killing me, 365 days a year. We don't close for the holidays. We don't close for snow. Our dispatch center is always open and available for your sons and daughters, your students to contact us. I put some very important numbers up there. That 962-5100, that's our general number. I just want to bring it out to you because two things. One, they call us Pub Safe, and that's a compliment, but I'd like to ask you to have a conversation with your sons and daughters and have them program these two numbers into their phone. That general number is really important because we do over 25,000 service calls a year. One of those service calls is escorts. We take escorts very serious. They're 24 hours a day. They're for male, female, young, old, it doesn't matter. It's a priority call for us. It may take us a little while if we're busy to get there, but we will do them. That's really important. But going back to the fact that this is your sons and daughters' home, especially after hours, and you look at the numbers, if we're doing over 25,000 service calls, and there's 2,800 resident students, if you do the math, you know they're going to contact us, right? We're the evening information source. We're the contact for Band-Aids. We do just about anything for them in the evening. So have them get to know us, but the important part is if they have that number in their phone, they're not trying to remember PubSafe's number, right? They're just going to go, oh, I got to get that. The second one's even more important. The 962-5555 number is our emergency number on campus. And I will never tell you not to have your sons and daughters call 911, okay? Won't do that. I will tell you, though, that if they are using their cell phone from our campus and they call 911 from here, it goes to the Ramsey County Dispatch Center where they take in the information, they distribute it out either to fire or EMS, and then either fire or EMS calls us back. The police or fire all call us and say, hey, St. Thomas, hey, we're responding to your campus. This is what we got. Can you meet us there? If they call our number from our campus, we're the experts here. We respond somebody to the site, and we also respond somebody to collect the incoming police or fire and bring them to the location. So we save valuable time. We're the ones that know what building it is, where the Wolf is in ASC, as opposed to them knowing 2115 Summit Avenue. So it's an important number to have, especially in a critical time. I don't want them to freeze or try to figure out, oh, what's that emergency number? If it's in their phone, they got it, right? We're also responsible for reporting all the crimes that occur on campus. One of the areas of our responsibility is a Clery report. I want to invite you to go ahead and take a look at our webpage, public safety webpage on the university site. I say that because although we are very safe, it's important you know that this is a community, right? Just like anywhere else you might live. If you got 10,000 people in a small area, there's going to be things that take place. So we're very transparent. You can see all the crimes. We have a crime log that we keep up to date so you can tell what's going on. There's also the Clery report, which compares us to other institutions. It has all the information you want to see. But again, I can sit here and tell you we're a very safe campus, but I'm not going to tell you that nothing will take place. So I'm also going to tell you again, it's everybody's responsibility. So let's join in this together and have a good understanding of it. If an emergency does actually happen, we are also responsible for putting out the mass notification and informing the campus community of what's going on. We do that through our UST Alert program. As soon as your sons and daughters go on to Murphy Online for the first time, they're prompt to go and fill out the information for that response protocol stuff. And why I'm telling you that is because it's very important that you ask them to review their information that they put in there. There's so many times they transpose numbers on their cell phone, or they add something wrong, or a dash is in the wrong spot, or the information isn't right. And then I get a call saying, how come I didn't get the alert, or what's going on with my stuff? So please, that information is very important to be accurate, especially if we have an emergency on campus and we may be trying to get a hold of an emergency contact. That data in their profile is very important. Parents often ask me, how do I get that UST alert as well? And again, I invite you to go back to our webpage under the Twitter account or the Facebook. If you follow either one of those or any of those, you will get the information at the same time your sons and daughters, because we push it out that way as well. One of the things Linda said is that we will take care of your sons and daughters. We will contact you if there's an emergency. Public safety will also be the ones that will contact you at 3 o'clock in the morning if your sons and daughters are unable to care for themselves. I bring that up every year because I want to make sure that if you are from outstate or out of state, you have an opportunity to visit with somebody that's local here that may be able to step in for you and come and get your sons and daughters if they can't care for themselves on some evening. So maybe a roommate's parents or maybe a friend or associate that you run into, but plan ahead is, I guess, what I'm referring to. Public safety and parking services, I'm also responsible for that. I want to remind everybody that our first-year resident students generally do not get resident permits. We strongly believe that's in our best interest. We don't believe students actually need a car in their first year. We've been doing this a long time. They're very resourceful, excuse me. They will find ways to get where they need to go. It's now even more economically savvy for you not to have a vehicle here. If you're looking at any kind of damage that might occur, or any kind of ticket or towing or anything like that that would occur with the instead of Lyft and Uber cars and stuff, it really helps a lot. We also offer a lot of different opportunities for them to get around as well. Public safety escorts, again. St. Thomas has a shuttle that goes from the St. Paul campus to the Minneapolis campus. Right across the street from the Minneapolis campus is Target. It's their corporate office, but they're huge Target retail centers there as well. There's bike rentals, there's Our Car, I think it's EV Car now. Bicycles, I put that up there. This is a very important thing. If you bring a bicycle to campus, please, the least expensive bicycle, the most expensive lock. Please don't reverse that, okay? That's not good. We endorse walking, and we also have Metro Bus passes for them. Taxi vouchers are there in case of an emergency where that I would issue those, or my staff would, if we need to get them to a doctor or something along that line, an appointment. That's under my area. So again, service areas that we do, jump starts, lockouts and stuff. We will get to know your sons and daughters. We hopefully will get to know you as well. Thank you for trusting us with your sons and daughters for the year.
Thanks, Dan. And one piece I just want to piggyback off Dan's talk around safety is to encourage you this summer to also have conversations with your students about safety when they get here, and some of the decisions they can make along the way that it will be protective factors. And when they're in their first year experience course, one of the things they'll learn about is bystander intervention and where there are spots along the way where we can all jump in to potentially prevent harm from happening to someone. And so when you think about, when you're talking with them about coming to campus and safety, one of the basics that I think is a basic, if they're going to go out in the evening, whoever you go with these friends, you come home with these friends. You don't leave someone behind, right? Like if students can get that in their head and agree, we're going wherever it may be, we're going together, but we're also leaving together. And that's an example of something more preventative to prevent any potential harm from occurring to someone. I know I'm also a parent of a college student. I have a senior in college. She goes out of state. She got into the practice of when they take a lift, if she takes a lift somewhere, she screenshots the lift driver's name, picture, the car, the license plate, and she sends it to her friends, her close friends, and says, I'm getting in a lift right now. She gets back to her apartment, and she says, I'm home. And they have that set up as friends to be able to kind of keep track of each other and look out for each other. So just trying to prompt you to think about some of the conversations you might have. And that's both genders. That is sons and daughters. I want to say that loud and clear, that is for sons and daughters. Sometimes we tend to think more of this being our daughters with safety, but I'm here to tell you it's all of them. And so with that, couple reminders up on these bubbles. One is a prompt to make sure that you're aware of the option of tuition insurance. I don't mention it because it's nothing the university makes money off of. We use a third-party vendor for it. But what tuition insurance, if you decide it's something your family wants to purchase, if your child were to need to withdraw from all classes for medical reasons, it gives 100% back on tuition for that semester. And those medical reasons, I just want to highlight, include mental health. My experience is that's actually probably it's the bigger reason why we see a student make a medical withdrawal. So a student or a family needs to sign up for that before the semester begins. It's on the business office webpage if you want to learn more about that option. And then after the year starts, when your student registers for classes, each semester when they register, a box will pop up in the registration system that says, do you wish to purchase tuition insurance, yes or no? So it falls into their hands. And if it's important to your family, you probably want to check in with your student each term after registration to say, did you check yes to that tuition insurance? Because that's where it happens. And if they didn't, that's not a problem. You can still sign up for it before the next semester begins. So that's my just little make you aware of that. We talked about the family handbook, and the next one is just a reminder of some important dates that are out there. Welcome days will begin September 2nd. Some of your students will move in the 31st and the 1st, depending if they're in a living learning community. And Residence Life, you have a session at the end where they will talk about move-in dates. But our official welcome days start September 2nd. They go through September 6th. We will have a lot of opportunities to engage your students during those welcome days before classes start. We know that the most important thing that happens in those days before classes is trying to build connections. That is what is on their minds. It's making friends and making connections. So plan to have them here starting from move-in day on. And then we hope that we'll see you all at Family Weekend, which is October 7th, 8th, and 9th. We have a home football game that day. It's always a great day, and we will have a lot of other events on campus that are festive. And your students, I can promise you, will be excited to see you. So hopefully you'll get that on the calendar. And I will stop there to allow for a few questions. We've got a couple minutes where we could take a few. Yes. Great. So I'll hand it to Dan, but the question is, when we have large events on campus, what are the public safety protocols?
Thank you. That is actually a great question. We do game day preparation for every event. We have programming and stuff. So we plan and prepare for demonstrations, riots, fires, active shooter training, some of that as well. We do run, hide, and fight. Major events, we will also bring on St. Paul Police to co-sponsor with co-work with our team as well. And in football games, there's actually even an outside security company that comes in too and works in different aspects of it. So we plan and prepare for major events quite seriously. But thank you, that's an excellent question.
Any other lingering questions? Our offices will all be at the information fair at the tables on the second floor, so you're also welcome to stop by one-on-one and ask any kind of question you might have. I think Marlon has an important job right now to give you directions on where to go next. So I'll turn it over to Marlon, and we're very appreciative of your time this afternoon, and we're excited to get to know your students.